Level 1. The Neighborhood Kid. You're 14 years old. You live in a neighborhood where the connected guys control every single block, every storefront, and every social club. You see the older guys in their tailored suits and pinky rings. They have money, they have cars, they have respect. Your father breaks his back working construction for minimum wage, coming home smelling like sweat and exhaust. But when these connected guys walk down the avenue, everyone moves aside and opens doors for them. You start hanging around the espresso cafe where they post up. You don't ask to join their crew. That's disrespectful. You just exist on the periphery. You sweep the floors, you run to the corner store when they need cigars, and you watch their backs. Your job is simple. If you see a police cruiser roll down the street slowly, or strangers in unmarked cars writing down license plates, you walk inside and give a nod. You make almost zero money, just the occasional $50 bill tossed your way for grabbing the morning paper, but you're being tested. They want to see if you can keep your mouth shut. If a teacher asks about the guys at the social club, you say nothing. If a beat cop offers you $20 to tell him who was in the back room, you walk away. You watch the envelopes of cash moving back and forth, and you wait for the day they finally look at you as something more than just part of the furniture. Level 2. The Associate. You're 19 now. You've proven you're not a snitch, and you're officially an associate. You aren't Italian enough on both sides of your family to ever be officially inducted, or maybe the boss just closed the books, but you earn. You're the muscle and the hustle. You run illegal sports betting sheets out of the back of a bodega, and you hijack cargo trucks right out of the JFK airport loading docks. You move heavy crates from trucks into warehouses sealed tight, and you never ask what's inside. One day, a local restaurant owner owes the crew $10,000 and hasn't paid in 3 months. Your captain hands you an address and tells you to go have a talk with him. You and another associate drive to his apartment and knock on the door. The owner opens it. His face goes completely white, and he begs for 2 more weeks. You don't negotiate. You grab him by the collar, drag him into the kitchen, and force his hand onto the counter. You break his arm with a baton. You hear the bone crack, and he screams. You walk out before the neighbors call the police. You don't feel guilt, and you don't feel satisfaction. This is just business now. You kick up 30% of everything you make to the boss in a fat envelope. You buy a used Cadillac. You buy expensive dinners, and you start to feel powerful. But the risk is entirely yours. If the feds catch you hijacking a truck, the family doesn't send lawyers. You do your time, you keep your mouth shut, and you take the fall alone. Level 3. The Earner. You're 24. You've been breaking bones and stealing trucks for 5 years, but you realize something. Violence is loud, and loud brings the FBI. You are smart. You understand numbers, and you realize the real money isn't in the streets. You start orchestrating white-collar scams. You infiltrate a local labor union, ensuring that the mob gets a cut of every single ton of concrete poured in Manhattan. You set up shell companies, phantom employees, and no-show jobs that drain millions from city contracts. You hand a massive envelope of cash to your captain every single week. He pinches your cheek. He loves you. You're making $20,000 a week now, wearing silk suits and eating at the most expensive steakhouses in the city. You look exactly like a legitimate businessman. But underneath the tailored suits, you are completely vulnerable. You are just an associate. You don't have the ultimate protection of the family. If a fully initiated member of the Mafia decides he wants your concrete racket, he just takes it, and you cannot raise a hand to stop him. You need the ultimate shield. You need the button. You need to be made. Level 4. The Made Man, the Soldier. You're 28. You've committed your first murder, not in self-defense, not in a crime of passion, but simply because you were told to by the boss. You've proven you're willing to kill for the family. You get a phone call late at night telling you to dress in your best suit. You're blindfolded and driven to a quiet residential basement in Brooklyn. When the blindfold comes off, 30 men stand in a circle around you. The boss sits at the head of a long table. In front of him rests a revolver and a dagger. The boss explains the rules of Cosa Nostra. If you betray your brothers, you die. If you reveal family secrets, you die. They prick your trigger finger with a needle. Your blood drips onto a small paper card bearing the image of a Catholic saint. They light the card on fire and place it into your cupped hands. You juggle the burning paper as you repeat the oath. May I burn in hell like this saint if I ever betray my friends. The liquid metallic taste of fear is in your mouth, but the moment the ashes hit the floor, you are bound for life. There is no resignation, there is no retirement clause, and there is no walking away. You are a made man, a soldier. To the outside world, you're a ghost, but inside the underworld, you are royalty. If anyone touches you now without the boss's permission, they are marked for death. Level 5, the Kappa regime. You're 40. You've survived the streets. You've survived the grand jury subpoenas, and you never broke the code of silence. You were promoted to Kappa regime, a captain. You no longer do the grunt work. You run your own crew of 20 initiated soldiers and 50 hungry associates. You manage an entire territory, controlling the illegal gambling rings, the loan sharking, and the extortion. You sit in the back room of an Italian restaurant that the family owns. Your soldiers come to you with envelopes full of cash. You take your heavy cut and you pass the rest up to the boss. You're middle management in a billion-dollar empire. Your job is to enforce discipline. If a younger member is getting sloppy, talking too loudly on the phone, or skimming money from the top, you are the one who corrects them. Sometimes that means a quiet conversation in a diner. Sometimes that means a beating. Sometimes they just disappear and are never seen again. You own a massive house in the suburbs with a pristine lawn, and your wife thinks you're just a highly successful waste management consultant. But the FBI is building a case. They have surveillance photos, wiretaps, and informants. You check the undercarriage of your car for GPS trackers every single morning. You speak only in coded whispers, pointing to your eyes and ears. You have power, but the paranoia is starting to eat you alive. Level 7, the Consigliere. You're 55. You don't run a crew anymore, and you certainly don't get your hands dirty with street-level violence. The boss sees your intellect and promotes you to Consigliere, the counselor. You are the diplomat, the strategist, and the keeper of the old traditions. You sit in smoke-filled rooms and decide which rival families to negotiate with and which corrupt politicians to buy. A rival family starts moving in on your lucrative garbage hauling routes in New Jersey, taking your customers and your cash. One of your hot-headed capos wants to go to war, hit him in the streets, and send a bloody message. Another capo wants to negotiate and divide the territory to reduce casualties. You listen carefully. The boss stays completely silent, watching you. His silence is a test. You know that war is terrible for business. Wars attract police attention, shut down the rackets, and hurt profits. You arrange a sit-down in a private dining room where a meal costs a fortune. You divide the territories fairly, draw new invisible lines on the map, and prevent a bloodbath. The war ends before it begins. You are immensely wealthy and deeply respected, but you know that one wrong piece of advice given to the boss could mean you end up hanging from an overpass or locked in the trunk of a car at the airport. Level 8, the underboss. You're 60. The boss is getting old, frail, and desperate to stay out of the federal spotlight. He names you his underboss, the second in command. You are the lightning rod. You filter the boss's orders down to the streets, insulating him from the crimes, while you take on all the operational risk. You oversee hundreds of men and millions of dollars. You meet with the leaders of the other 4 families to coordinate massive heroin shipments and coordinate union strikes. But your main job is internal security. A capo in your family is caught skimming $2 million from a construction scam, thinking no one would ever notice. The boss gives you a look. You call the capo to a meeting. He comes willingly because refusing means admitting guilt. You sit with him.
You listen to his excuses, and he begs for mercy. He swears it will never happen again. But theft from the family has only one punishment. You give the quiet nod. He is found dead 2 days later with a single bullet to the back of the head. This is your life now. You don't just give orders. You decide who lives and who dies, and you have to live with those terrifying decisions every single day. You trust absolutely no one. You keep a loaded gun in your nightstand, and you change where you sleep every few nights.
Level 8, the boss, the Don. You're 68. You sit at the absolute head of the table. You built this empire, climbing from a kid sweeping floors to running the most powerful criminal organization in the city. Your word is absolute law. When you give an order, it is executed without question. When you say someone dies, that person dies. Your organization pulls in hundreds of millions of dollars a year, but you live in a golden cage. You haven't seen the inside of a bank in decades because you can't own property or hold an account in your true name. The U.S. Department of Justice has an entire task force dedicated exclusively to hunting you down. Your face is on every federal briefing board. You communicate entirely through encrypted coded notes passed through trusted intermediaries, and you destroy them the second they are read. You suspect everyone. Your head of security might be an informant, your accountant might be stealing, and your own nephew might be wearing an FBI wire. You authorize the execution of your own